My name is Angelica, and I'm going to tell you why I'm afraid of the day that I die. Okay, so a long time ago, when I was about 14, I'm 35 now, my dad disappeared. Well, he didn't disappear. One day he was in the bed, laying there with my mom. Next morning, she woke up. He was pale, gray, lifeless, nothing going on. Apparently, the coroner said he passed in his sleep. Upon taking him to the hospital and pronouncing him dead and, them doing everything they need to do, they moved him to the morgue. While we were mourning and struggling that night, it was really weird and creepy not to have Dad in the house with us. Me and my sister and my mom all slept in our room while my dad's bed was empty. My mom couldn't bring herself to sleep in the bed alone without my dad there. That night, our sleep was really restless. I remember having very lucid dreams about my dad and childhood and growing up, and I chalked it up to losing him. The next morning, we got up to the smell of bacon. My mom was still in bed with us, and we were a tad bit confused on what was going on. We slowly made our way downstairs to find that our father was standing in the kitchen cooking breakfast. Odd, I know. Breathtaking, awe-inducing, strange more than anything. We all just burst into tears and couldn't understand what had happened. We know we saw him the day before die. We saw him go to the morgue. We viewed his body. We identified him. He was cold, and yet here he is, right here, standing in the kitchen, like nothing ever happened. We contacted the police. The police showed up. According to them, they had no recollection of our father ever dying, even though it was the same police that took our father, took our statements, and we called the coroner. The coroner also had no recollection of our father dying, which was weird to us. And there he was, standing, smiling at us. "Come on, girls, what's going on? You know it's my day to cook breakfast," he said, which threw us all for a loop considering that our dad never cooked breakfast. Not in all of my 14 years had he ever cooked breakfast. He smiled, he looked warm, he came to hug us, and we all kind of froze and looked at lost and scared. He ushered us to our seats where he had made bacon and eggs and pancakes and cakes and syrup and everything sitting there on the table. He looked at us, he said, "Why aren't you guys eating? You guys are acting like somebody died." And I murmured under my breath, "'Cause you did." He looked at me and asked me what I was saying, but I couldn't really bring myself to utter it again. So we waited. Mom warmed up to Dad again. She was so happy to see him. That night, they climbed in the bed, they cuddled, and did their nightly routine, and fell asleep. When the sun rose the next morning, my dad, once again, was a dead, cold, gray body, and my mom, once again, shattered and broke. We did the same process as the first time, did everything the same, right down to viewing the body and identifying it at the end of the night. Mom came home, drug herself in our room, utterly destroyed, shattered, and broken, and we all fell asleep crying. The next morning, we woke up to the smell of bacon. So technically, my dad didn't disappear. It was more like who he was and how he lived disappeared. Now it's more like we're living an endless loop that I have been living for 14 years since my dad died when I was 14.